Howdy, guys, and welcome to Cliff Notes, and welcome to night 24 of the overnight feed recaps for Big Brother season 26. A good Sunday morning to y'all. I hope y'all are enjoying y'all's weekend. The house guests are, well, some are, some a little bit on edge with everything that's going on in terms of nominations and vetoes and all that. Yes, we did have a veto competition yesterday, so let's talk about that first before we get into the feeds themselves. We had the veto competition yesterday. Remember, competing in it was Angela, not Quinn. Angela, since she's the actual HOH, even though Quinn hijacked it. Angela competing along with Tucker, McKenzie, and Cedric as the nominees, and then drawn to compete yesterday, Brooklyn and Joseph. Yeah, once again, Brooklyn and Joseph are competing in another veto competition. Now, this time, apparently, Joseph was selected by Tucker to compete. But yeah, Brooklyn and Joseph, I think this is the third time the two of them have done the veto competition. So they're getting to play in a lot of comps, considering they haven't gone on the block, right? But those are the six that we had competing yesterday in the veto competition. Started off around noon or so when the feeds returned, 3 o'clock or so, Big Brother time. We didn't know who won for a long time. There needs to be a rule that once you win veto, you got to wear that necklace around for a couple of hours or something, so we as live feeders can tell. Now, we didn't know who won veto for quite a while. Eventually, we learned that the veto winner for this week is Tucker. Tucker wins yet another competition. That guy's just racking them in quickly. At this rate, he's going to beat Michael's record from a couple of seasons back for most comp wins. He is absolutely killing it. Not a physical competition. This is yet another mental. This was a memory competition. Apparently some sort of head-to-head comp involving the memorization of sequences. We heard them talking a little bit about different symbols, and I know Quinn was saying, oh, whenever I saw an X, I just said that's a 1 and a 2, and different ways they're trying to figure this out. But somehow watching sequences and trying to replicate them, it sounds like, was the competition. Tucker won it. Again, we haven't really had a physical competition so far in this house. Doesn't matter to Tucker. He's handling all of them so far. It seems like Tucker has won veto. So what's Tucker going to do with this? Well, surely he's going to use it on himself, right? Right? This season, who knows? We do have Quinn talking to Cedric and Brooklyn soon after, saying, hey, Rubina's going to go up in Tucker's place if he uses it, and maybe there's a chance that he won't use it. Quinn's keeping those fingers crossed that maybe that isn't going to happen. He said maybe he won't use it, but he probably will, but maybe he won't. But Quinn is thinking that, wishful thinking, he probably will, because he says, unlike last week where he thought he had the votes even if he got to the very end, he said, I think Tucker realizes he doesn't have the votes. He does not want to be on the block come Thursday night. So yeah, I think he'll use it no matter what we tell him or what happens. We'll do that. Doesn't mean that people aren't still trying to figure out ways to convince Tucker not to use that veto. Later, we do see Tucker talking to the cameras by himself in the rock bedroom, excited. He said, hey, I'm going to be here for another week. It doesn't sound like he's doing anything to jeopardize his chances. I think Tucker is realizing now that he may have a few supporters. He may have Angela on his side. He may have Rubina on his side, maybe McKenzie if the situation is right. But for the most part, he's understanding that he's a little bit under the gun, that the majority of the house is after him. That's what puts him in a tough position. He's going to have to win a lot of comps from this point on, or first chance they get, there's going to be a lot of people ready to get him out the door. So he's saying, yeah, I'll be here for another week. After that, who knows, but at least another week, you aren't getting rid of me. Talking about ways that maybe they could get him not to use the veto. We've got Brooklyn and Chelsea talking in that rock bedroom a little bit later. They're talking about this idea that maybe we could get Chemo, because we feel like Chemo and Tucker still have a little bit of talking relationship and everything. Maybe we can get Chemo to tell Tucker, or more, they just don't want to be the ones to do it. But they're saying, let's get Chemo to talk to Tucker and tell him that if he pulls himself off the block with his veto, Rubina's probably going to go up on the block in his place, and there's a good chance that Rubina could go home. The idea being that Tucker has feelings for Rubina, that he wouldn't do that he would allow himself to potentially be sacrificed, or more likely that his ego would convince him that he could win BBAI Arena anyway, protect Rubina from going up and save himself. and then they would just vote him out. So that's the original plan from Brooklyn and Chelsea. Let Tucker know that Rubina is going to take his place and that she'll probably go home if he is so selfish as to use that veto. Who would be that selfish? I'd be that selfish. All right, so but that's the plan going forward. Poor Quinn. Let's just say that. Quinn, perhaps the greatest power that anyone in Big Brother has ever had, completely taking over an entire week of HOH. You could have done it in secret, and then the power would have even been more amazing, Quinn. But that ship has sailed. But having such an amazing power, and yet at the end of this, his top two targets, Angela and Tucker, neither one is going to go home this week. Both of them are going to be safe. Yeah, maybe he'll get Rubina, maybe he'll get McKenzie, but those weren't his targets. Those were just kind of defaults. Something's better than nothing. Quinn just not a great week for him in terms of what could have been with this power. Yeah, it just didn't work out for Quinn. All right, we've got Tucker and Quinn talking to each other. I was wondering what was going on at one point because Tucker's in the storage room. Quinn walks in. Quinn does a little victory dance for Tucker. It's like, what's going on? Did I miss some of the feeds during the day that maybe they've worked out an alliance? We've had T-Core and Chemo talking about trying to bring these two guys back together. And so there for a second, I thought, it's worked. These two guys are going to be on the same side. And who knows, put this duo together, what they could do. But it turns out that's not really the case. Quinn is just expressing appreciation. Congratulations to Tucker, expressing appreciation to him, saying, if anyone else was in there going up against me, I wouldn't really be able to have fun with it and be treated as lightly as I do. And Tucker saying, nah, we're good, man. We're good, bro. So they're basically just saying, we respect each other's game. No sweat off our backs and all that. So just a little bro talk there for a little while. But we do have Quinn at least saying good words to him. No later, Tucker did maybe give him a little bit of a hand symbol as he's walking out of the bathroom. So, what you say and what you do may be a little bit different even now. And we know they're still each other's targets. All right, we've got T-Core and Chemo talking. Well, T-Core and Chemo, they just are like the Bobsy twins. They're hanging around 24 hours a day, it seems like, with their discussions and everything else. But we've got T-Core and Chemo talking. T-Core saying they don't need to worry this week about going on the block. Yeah, they're both safe. So we don't need to worry about being on the block, but we do need to worry about making sure we're on the right side of whatever split is getting ready to happen. They're both saying they feel like this week is something is falling two different directions. They see this division starting to occur, and they just need to make sure that they're on the right side of whatever that line's going to be. Is the right side the majority side, or is it more who they think they can beat or work with going forward? I'm not really sure, and I'm not sure if they know just yet. They're still trying to figure out where their path needs to go to protect them through the mid and end games themselves. So they're worried a little bit about that. They know they're safe this week, but what do we do going forward? All right, we've got Tucker and Joseph talking. Joseph is congratulating Tucker on the game. He's telling him, Joseph playing both sides. Joseph is telling Tucker that, hey, Cam told me, he said, yeah, Tucker won, but we'll get him next week. Don't worry. We'll just get Tucker next week. So definitely throwing Cam under the bus at this point. And Joseph is saying that Tucker definitely needs to win HOH. There's a lot of people who are going to go after him if he doesn't win this next HOH. Tucker saying, I know, I am going to win it. They talk a little bit about what comps they think it's going to be next week. Seems like everyone's thinking it could be this week. They thought it could be the pressure cooker. It wasn't. Next week, they're thinking it could be the wall comp. Maybe. That'd be a fun one to watch. But Tucker saying, I definitely need to win it. And if it is a wall comp, I will win it. There's zero doubt in my mind. Joseph is saying this is working out well, that everyone thinks that you and I are working against each other. They don't realize that I'm actually on your side, Tucker, and I'm your best bud. And so, hint, hint, don't come after me if you win HOH next week. So Joseph definitely making sure that he's keeping his relationship tight with Tucker and the other side as well. So we've got that. Tucker is saying, based on what he's hearing about what Cam's been doing, he's going to be coming hard for Cam. He does mention, he says, if I get this HOH next week, it's probably going to be on the block Cam and Cedric and Quinn. Those are his three picks. Now, at one point a little bit later, he says it could be Cedric, Quinn, and Leah as well. Not 100% on Cam, but Certainly Quinn and Cedric, and yeah, probably Cam at this point in time. He's saying that Joseph saying he told Chelsea that Tucker had picked him to play. Remember, Joseph had this whole story he was going to tell Cedric on why he was going to explain why he pulled Cedric off if he won Veto and all that. Well, now he's telling Tucker that he told Chelsea that the reason Tucker picked him to play in the Veto comp wasn't because of any kind of relationship or anything like that. No, it's because Tucker thought that Joseph was just not a very good competitor and would be an easy person to beat. So he's saying I told them that's why you picked me. And Tucker's like, yeah, that's perfect. Sounds great, Joseph. Thank you, sir. So they got that. All right, we got Joseph and Quinn talking a little bit. Again, Joseph's talked to a few different people yesterday. Joseph's talking to Quinn. Quinn's talking about this idea that was originally brought up by Chelsea in Brooklyn. This idea of telling Tucker that Rubina is going to go home if Tucker uses his veto. Joseph is now expressing a few doubts, though. He's saying, look, I'm afraid you do that, and Tucker's just going to win the BBAI arena anyway, and then all of this is a waste. And now, what do you do then? Now suddenly you've got MJ and Cedric on the block, and we just got to think about this a little bit. So he's worried that Tucker will be off the block no matter what. Guess that you've got a comp beast and you give that person 2 chances to pull themselves off. It makes it hard to boot that person. Absolutely hard, which is why, and nothing against Tucker, but it's why I'm kind of hoping that we don't see the 3 nominees in this extra AIBB arena for that much longer. I'm ready to go back just to the standard 1 veto competition. I think you get a little more chaos, a little more fluctuation if you do that. But yeah, Joseph's saying, hey, we could do all of that. We could convince him not to use a veto, and he'll still win BBAI Arena and pull himself off the block. So he's worried it wouldn't work anyway. They're both worried as well that Tucker won't go for it, that he's going to understand it. And if too many people are suggesting that he should keep himself on the block, he might start suspecting a bigger alliance. And it may actually make him work even harder against everyone else. So they're a little bit worried that this could backfire them if they push too hard this idea of protect Rubina by keeping yourself on the block. But having said all of that, Quinn still expresses his frustration, being a little upset with Tucker, a lot upset with Tucker, that Tucker keeps going around telling everyone that Quinn has all these final 2s with everyone else. It's just irritating him that Tucker continues to throw him under the bus. All right, we've got Tucker and McKenzie talking a little bit. McKenzie is saying that she thinks that Tucker may not be okay if he leaves himself on the block. She's saying, if you want to do that, fine, but I'm not sure that it would be great for you. McKenzie would probably prefer not to have to compete against Tucker in the AIBB arena, right? I mean, yeah, there's something to be said for Tucker staying on the block against McKenzie because she's got to think that he maybe is a bigger target if it comes to a vote, although she may not be certain that she would win over Tucker. I think she would, but she may not realize that. But on the other hand, if he's no longer in the mix and Rubina goes up instead, well, now it's McKenzie competing against Rubina and Cedric for that BBAI arena. And I think McKenzie thinks she has a much better chance if she does that as opposed to competing against Tucker. So she's telling him, saying, look, if you leave yourself in the block, I'm not sure it's going to work well for you. Tucker is saying, again, about Cam, saying, look, Cam is out to get me. Saying, fortunately for Cam, I got 2 bigger targets right now, and I assume that's Cedric and Quinn. We'll talk about this conversation just a little bit later because we got some other ones. Then we'll come back to it. Rubina and McKenzie are talking about votes. If MJ is against Cedric, she thinks that she could beat Cedric. She's not sure about the rest. They try to go in and count votes. I only bring this up because it shows me that Rubina and McKenzie just don't have a good read on the house. I think Cedric wins over McKenzie. I think he probably wins over her more so than just about anyone else. Anyone else, maybe McKenzie has a little bit of a chance depending on who is, but they think that's her best chance. I just don't think these two have a very good read. Especially McKenzie's kind of been left alone. She doesn't really have any alliances. And you're seeing that in terms of information and the way she's reading the house right now. So, yeah, they're not getting a good read on it. All right, we've got Tucker telling Cam that he knows that everyone is going against him. Not really saying you're coming after me, dude, or anything like that, but just kind of saying, look, I know everyone's against me at this point in time. He's saying that he thinks that Quinn is going to put up Rubina, which they're all saying, we need to hint that to him. And he's telling Cam, saying, yeah, I know Quinn's probably going to put Rubina up. But I don't really care because I'm just staying close to Rubina so I can keep tabs on Brooklyn. Now, remember, he's telling Cam this. That doesn't mean that that's what Tucker actually believes, but he's trying to be very flippant about, you send Rubina out. I don't care. I'm just using her right now. That's his strategy to try to make them think it's not as big a deal to put Rubina up on the block. I think it is. I think Tucker would not want that. I think if they do put Rubina up to take Tucker's place, he's going to be, you think he's got a vengeance and a vendetta now. Just wait. That would be interesting as well. But he's trying to downplay his concern if something like that was to happen. All right, we've got Quinn and Cam and Joseph talking. Quinn wants to tell Rubina that she's going on the block. He's saying, look, I think I'm going to do it, but I kind of would like to tell her ahead of time so she's not blindsided. Remember, these two were kind of tight. They were close. They were sleeping in the same room and all that. They had a big falling out because Rubina just did not like that Quinn had not told her that he had the power. Everything kind of fell apart there, but I think Quinn is still feeling bad about all that. So he wants to try to make it as easy as possible for Rubina. Even if she goes home, at least he wants to tell her ahead of time. So he's trying to figure out how he does that. And eventually, with Cam and Joseph's help, he decides he's just going to tell her that he's putting her up because she's Tucker's closest ally. Nothing more than that. It's just because she's close with Tucker, and Tucker is the actual target. He's going to tell her that she is just a placeholder. He doesn't want her going home. Now, Tucker, if he's off, which means Rubina goes up, and she's just a placeholder, I assume that the implication will be that McKenzie is the target and that Rubina is just there because someone has to go up. All right, we've got Chelsea and Brooklyn and Joseph talking. They're discussing if it comes down to McKenzie and Rubina on the block against each other, who do they get out? In that situation, if Tucker's pulled himself off the block, if Cedric has won the BBAI arena, if it comes down to MJ or Rubina, who do we keep? Who do we get rid of? Joseph is saying that McKenzie has no one in the house whatsoever. She doesn't really bother anyone, so maybe we don't worry about her right now. Chelsea said, well, maybe you think that, Joseph, but she says, McKenzie has bothered me. She's driving me crazy. She follows me around everywhere. She won't give me a minute of peace. So yeah, Joseph, she's bothering some folks. She's bothering me. So she mentions that, but she also says that she thinks, having said all that sending Rubina home probably screws with Tucker's game more than sending McKenzie home. So from a personal standpoint, she may have a preference to get McKenzie out, but from a strategic standpoint, she's thinking Rubina may be the better choice. Later, once Joseph leaves, Brooklyn and Chelsea continue to talk, and they're both agreeing that, really, McKenzie doesn't do anything for either one of us, and they're absolutely fine if she goes out the door this week. And the other part of that is they think that if they send McKenzie out and not Rubina, there is less chance that Tucker's going to get mad at them because they can say, hey, we voted to save Rubina and send McKenzie out. So be kind to us, please, sir, when they talk to Tucker. A lot of people, you can do a lot through fear. We heard T-Core talking earlier in the week saying, I don't play this game through intimidation, or I don't want to be intimidated while playing this game. Well, a lot of people are intimidated by Tucker and all of his competition, not just his competition wins, but the fact that he is willing to get in people's face. He's willing to call people out. He has a very loud personality. That, combined with him winning so much, has a lot of people really playing from a position of fear right now, which gives Tucker a huge advantage. I still think he's in trouble because he's got to win a lot. And who's going to be willing to take that first shot, and taking the chance that first shot may fail, and now Tucker's coming after you? You can't play scared. I know sometimes I have, but it's hard not to play scared in this game, but that's what they're doing right now. Later, I mentioned them saying that they're fine with McKenzie going home. Chelsea is saying that whatever. If we get rid of McKenzie, if we get rid of Rubina, if it comes down to it, whichever way is okay. She said, all I know is I'm not winning anything until jury. I'm laying low at this point. I don't want anyone come after me. I'm laying low. I'll start winning on down the road. All right, we've got Rubina talking to T-Core about Tucker and their possible showmatch. Just more of those kind of conversations. Rubina's saying that she feels like she's got a devil on one shoulder and an angel on the other, and she's not sure what to do. And should I be a showmatch? Should I not be a showmatch? The same conversation we've heard for the past 72 hours or so. All right, we've got Tucker and MJ and Leah talking some more about what's going to happen. Tucker's saying, remember we talked a little earlier conversation and what that McKenzie was saying, yeah, if you don't pull yourself off, you could be in trouble. Well, now Tucker is telling MJ saying, hey, what if I used the veto on you? What if I pulled you off instead so I could go up against Cedric in the BBAI arena? McKenzie says, if you want to use it on me, I'm fine with that, Tucker. Yeah, sure. I think that's a great idea. Use it on me. No problem at all with that. But Tucker says nothing's for free, though. If I was to use it on you and keep myself on the block, you got to give me some dirt. You got to give me some information. Nothing comes free, McKenzie. And she responds and says, I got no one. I got nothing. I'm not working with anyone. I don't have any dirt to give you. So yeah, she doesn't have anything to trade Tucker. I don't think Tucker's necessarily being serious anyway. But the fact that he talked about it suggests that he's at least thought about it. But yeah, he offered it to her. He didn't say he was going to do it. He just kind of threw it out there, got her excited. There's no way it's going to, well, I don't think it's going to happen. All right, we had a lot of house guests in the backyard, including Angela, talking about all kinds of things, talking about sexual experiences and all of that. I'll let you go find the feeds if you want to watch that. Talking about that, McKenzie talking about how she thought that by now she'd probably have a couple of kids and that, maybe now she can wait a little bit longer, but talking about life and expectations and everything else. They're talking about after the show. At one point, I think Chemo and T-Core and Cedric are talking. Cedric saying that he'd love to do something with media when he gets out, either acting or a talk show or podcasting, something that he can do. And T-Core saying, well, you could start off doing stand-up. A lot of people do stand-up and then get into other things, which Cedric thinks would be fun. They're talking about Chemo does art and that they could sell their artwork. They figure someone from this season is going to become a big celebrity of some sort that can help support the rest of them. So just a lot of conversations in the backyard. I'm still jealous that these guys have the backyard as much as they're getting it compared to my season. They're doing a lot more comps in this alternative site instead of the backyard. But just a lot of non-game talk at this point in time. All right, we do have T-Core and Chemo talking some more. They're wondering, what do they do if Rubina and Cedric are on the block come Thursday night and they have to vote for one or the other? They don't really know how they would go with that. They say Quinn would break the vote. Would he? I don't know that he wouldn't, but if it comes down to a tie vote, the HOH has to cast that deciding vote. I would think it probably would be Quinn since he's hijacked everything else. So they're saying that Quinn would have to break that vote. Between Rubina and Cedric, that would be interesting. I think he would pick Cedric to stay over Rubina. But talking about breaking some real life bonds if something like that was to happen. But they are talking about what would happen in case of a tie. T-Core is saying that she doesn't really want Cedric gone this week. They want to protect Rubina. They absolutely do, but they're not ready for Cedric to be gone. So they really don't want it to get to those two on the voting block come Thursday. They agree that they need to talk to Tucker. And I think the conversation they've been wanting to have with Tucker is about not making Rubina the nomination if Tucker pulls himself off, that maybe get him to put up Leah instead. So they want to have that conversation. They've been putting it off forever. Later, Quinn does join them, so it's a perfect opportunity. But he almost immediately says, yeah, I'm going to put Rubina up. I'm going to do that as a renom. And then he pretty much leads the rest of the conversation. I never did hear T-Core and Chemo benching this idea. So they had a grand plan coming in. Quinn pretty much shut it down before they even had a chance to bring it up. He's going for Rubina to put her up at this point in time. Tucker is hoping I don't know where it's going to. Tucker hoping the next week's Welcome. I think we said that before. Just maybe another room. I don't even remember at this point in time. But Quinn talking about the soldiers for their side. At some point, they're going to have to act against this other side, and he's mentioning Angela and Tucker, potentially Rubina, McKenzie. He's saying, who do we have on our side? Who are our soldiers? He said, well, definitely the three of us, Quinn, Chemo, and T-Core. He's saying we should be able to grab Joseph. He said, I think we could grab Leah as well. And then they spend some time trying to figure out the rest. I say they. This is pretty much a soliloquy from Quinn for most of this. T-Core is just basically saying, She's good at pulling in information. and Chemo's eating some kind of snack. So this is just Quinn speculating, and these other two are just taking it all in as they tend to do. All right, we've got Tucker and Rubina talking. I think this is where Tucker said he hopes it's a wall comp to Rubina. They're talking. Rubina is saying that she's really worried that she could be the renom if he takes himself off the block. And Tucker saying, well, yeah, I guess it could be you, but it also could be Cam. He says they're going for big threats. They don't, they want me. Why would they put you up, Rubina? Well, he knows that there's talk of it, but he's kind of downplaying a little bit. All right, we've got Rubina and Angela and Tucker are talking some more. Angela is telling Rubina, saying, look, just go tell Quinn that you don't want him to put you up. Don't make up all kinds of, just say, I really would not prefer not to be on the block this week. So please, Quinn, would you not put me up? And I want to play the game. So she's saying, just be direct with Quinn, and either he will or he won't. But at least you've made your pitch. Angela doesn't know why Quinn would put Rubina up, though. I don't know if she doesn't quite understand this dynamic of going after your next closest if you can't go after your main target, or she's just trying to keep Rubina calm a little bit. But she says, I don't know why he would put you up in the first place, Rubina. Tucker is rehashing this conversation he had with McKenzie, saying, yeah, I told her that I was going to use the veto on her instead so I can go up against Cedric in the BBAI arena. Angela has a fit. She said, don't you dare. Don't you dare. Basically, it's great that you did it last week on me, but this week, yeah, don't be doing that, Tucker. So she's telling him not to. He's kidding when he says, he's joking. But again, he's kind of thought about it, but I think he's joking. But he does say that he's bringing that up, that maybe he's trying to plant a seed to get Quinn thinking that if he was going to do that, that maybe at that point, Quinn would want to put someone more powerful up as a renom than Rubina, someone more likely to be able to beat Quinn in the BBA arena, such as, Cam. So yeah, maybe he's thinking that if he kind of plays that for the next 24 hours, he could get Quinn thinking that maybe Cam and Cedric need to be the two going up against Tucker instead of Rubina. I don't think that'll work, but I understand the intent of what Tucker's saying. I don't know if he'll push it or not, but it was an interesting approach, I think. All right, we've got Chemo alone, still in the backyard, still thinking they can get Quinn and Tucker back together. I just don't see it, but who knows? But he's thinking he can still get the two of them back together, wondering ultimately who is Quinn loyal to. Is he loyal to the Pentagon? Is he loyal to, he just doesn't know where Quinn's loyalties lie. A little untrustworthy at this point, but thinking if Quinn and Tucker are working together, it at least allows he and T-Core to have some protection from a couple of strong guys. T-Core eventually comes in and starts talking to Chemo as well. They're talking about Quinn, saying that Tucker has to be honest, or that he said they're saying that Tucker has to be gone before they can work with Rubina. Quinn said this. He said, I'd love to work with Rubina again, but as long as Tucker's here, it's just not going to work. So they're saying, if we're going to get Quinn and Tucker back together, that's going to be tough. And if we want to work with, if we want to try to get Quinn to work with Rubina and protect her, then maybe Tucker has to be gone. So they're not real sure how the dynamics are going to work on that. They're saying that Quinn had expressed, and Quinn talked about this earlier, he was talking still about trying to bring in Leah. When he's talking about all these soldiers, maybe bringing Leah in. And they're saying Quinn, he keeps saying it. He wants to work with Leah, but he's dead set he's not going to work with Angela. So that's a no-go to bring those two together as well. T-Core's talking about the same people keep going up on the block week after week. She doesn't like that. She thinks that they're getting more stuff to put on their resume. They survived so many weeks. They've done so many competitions. She doesn't like that people are getting to do so many competitions that she feels like it's going to make it easier and easier for them to compete in other comps on down the road. I said before, I'll say it again, T-Car, if you think other people are competing in too many comps, you can always volunteer to put yourself on the block, and it's a guaranteed way to play in Veto and BBAI arena. There is a method to do it if you want. No one wants if it means not playing in the comps in exchange for not being on the block, it's always worth it not being on the block. But she's a little frustrated at that. I think she's just frustrated she hadn't gotten to do more competitions. But she's saying there's too many people who've been on the block over and over again. I'm ready for new people to be on the block as long as it's not me. Yeah, that's the way it works, T-Core, as long as it's not me. I understand completely. All right, Joseph alone doing some power rankings. We'll go through it real quick. He talked about it, why he ranked each of these people the way he did, but we won't go over all of that. I'll just give you the numbers from the most in danger to the strongest players in the game right now. Starting at number 13 is McKenzie, number 12, Rubina, number 11, Angela, number 10, Tucker, number 9, Leah, number 8, Cam, number 7, Quinn, number 6, Brooklyn, number 5, Cedric, number 4, T-Core, number 3, Chemo, number 2, Joseph, and he thinks that Chelsea's the top player, the power player, number 1. I don't have a huge issue with Joseph's rankings. I think he's pretty good. I maybe would bump him down a couple of spots to 4 or 5. I don't think he's quite in the position he thinks he is, but he is playing the game, and he's definitely doing a decent job at it. But yeah, so he ranks the powers, and for the most part, I tend to agree with him. All right, finally, to close this out, we've got Chelsea and Tucker talking to one another. Chelsea is playing a little innocent, playing a little dumb, saying, yeah, I don't know who would go up if you pulled yourself off the block. I don't know. Maybe it could be Rubina, maybe Brooklyn, maybe Cam. I haven't talked to Quinn about it. I don't know who he would put up Tucker. Tucker is saying, who knows with all of his final twos. Again, Quinn hates Tucker talk about that. Tucker's continuing to push that narrative of all the final twos he has. So Tucker's saying, no, I get it. With all his final twos, who knows who his loyalties are and who knows who he would actually put up. So I agree with you, Chelsea. They both know that Rubina's probably the one going up, but they're both playing dumb with each other. Chelsea is saying that she asked Quinn about all of his multiple final twos, and she said he didn't deny it. He's not trying to deny that he's had a lot of them. It's just the way he's playing the game. Chelsea is finally at the end kind of trying to hint around. She says, if it comes down to it, I do think there's a good chance that Quinn would put Rubina up. So just so you know, I do think that would happen. She's the one who came up with the plan, but she certainly doesn't want to take the blame for coming up with that idea. But she's letting him know just one last attempt before everyone calls it a night to maybe get Tucker thinking that maybe he ought to protect Rubina out of romantic interest on it. I just don't think it's going to happen, but we will find out. And with that, lights out, 3:30 or so, Big Brother time. Everyone called it a night. So there you have it, guys. Today, not really anything going on. There'll be a lot of, I think, pitching and campaigning revolving around the veto ceremony tomorrow. Will he or won't he use it? And I don't think he will. We'll see. And a lot of people starting to posture for the following week, and they're getting close enough. There were conversations last night as well about how big the jury is. 7 people, 9 people, not really sure. I think it's Quinn that even made a mention, said, hey, maybe they would make the jury a little bit bigger just in case, just to make sure that Tucker stays on the jury and stays involved with the game of Big Brother. If he goes home the next week or two, and is pre-jury, then the production may not want that. They may want him sticking around. So even on that, they may make some decisions about how big the jury is. They're definitely starting to think about the jury phase, realizing here in just a couple of weeks, we're going to be there. We're getting there kind of quick at this point. All right, guys, y'all have a fantastic Sunday. I'll be back tomorrow morning to give you an update on whatever did happen throughout the rest of the day and this evening. Until then, have a great one. SKD 143. Cheers, my friends.